Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of my Let's Play World Tanks. Actually, believe it or not, I didn't realize I actually had purchased two of the Tier 5 British tanks, like a long time ago, and I've actually been sitting on them for easily a patch, or maybe even a little longer than halfway through the previous patch. I've been sitting on them since I finished up I didn't buy whatever's after the AT2, but I bought this tank, the Crusader, and the Churchill forever and a half ago. I think before I even bought the Electo, maybe? I'd honestly have to go back. I can't even remember how far ago it was. But yeah, I bought these things so long ago and just forgot that I bought them and never promoted them up to be the primary tanks, I think's the label. You get whatever it is that it sets in the very beginning of your garage. Because I only recently found these when I was just digging through my garage looking for a Tier 5 to play. And then I said to myself, holy crap, I completely forgot I have British tanks. So I decided I might as well start working on them. I mean, it's been quite a while. I'm kind of nearing the end of anything that's new and exciting outside of just insanely good games out of the other tanks I've been working on. So I figured I'd play these things stock just to see what they're like. And I mean, it's the ×3 weekend for these things, so they're of course going to skyrocket right up to being fully upgraded almost instantaneously. But hey, I mean, why not get some experience in them, start learning, start playing with them, and I mean, enjoy them as well. I mean, the Tier 5s is a nice little tier where you get some pretty interesting matchmaking, and you can, do damage to everything despite the gun penetration or damage that you have. So, I mean, it's, of course, I'm going to get railed by Wolverine here for half my health. But hey, I still penetrated for a itty little bit of damage. It's still kind of cool. So, the little Crusader here is kind of interesting in the fact that it's a Tier 5 light. So I really got to watch its matchmaking, which I still believe is unique. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is a Tier 5, 6, and 7 matchmaking as opposed to a 5 light, which is 6, 7, and 8. So, in that respect, I'm actually seeing decent matchmaking in the fact that it's not really that big of a deal that I'm a Tier 5 light. And it just means that I'm, I don't know, get the benefit of the camouflage coefficient, which, hey, I'm not one to turn down in the slightest. So I get to go through the whole new learning process with two new tanks that I completely forgot I owned, and I'm not arguing the slightest. And of course I'm doing this right now because I actually still have to download the 8.6 patch, which just came out this morning. So that's on my to-do list as soon as I finish this recording. And in fact, I'm not even going to record the results afterwards. I'll get to those maybe after I finish recording all three of these and then start downloading the update. Then again, I might just skip them entirely. We'll have to see. It's one of those things where we'll get to it if we can, or we'll just skip over it and just go with the flow anyway. But yeah, so it's, I guess it's because I have like 90 some odd tanks in my garage that I easily could have missed that I had some sitting around. Probably the fact that I also not only had these sitting around, but I forgot to bounce them up to primary tank is what really hurt me. I just completely forgot they were there, didn't pay attention, or when I bought them it was late and didn't get around to moving them up. But otherwise, it's just one of those things where, hey, out of sight, out of mind, until I had to really go dig for some stuff, and voila, there it is. But now, I mean, it's time to start playing around and enjoying them. And it's one of those things where right now I'm trying to learn, while it's still not exactly the most upgraded tank at the moment in my tier or my garage, I gotta learn how to use them, learn how to play them, and when I finally do upgrade them, which actually, small spoiler alert, is after each of the battles that I play in these two tanks, because I get, 3,000 experience or so, which is enough to unlock the turret and the tracks, is all I needed to upgrade the tank anyway. I get to start playing with a more unlocked tank. I mean, of course, there's still like one gun on the Churchill I do not have unlocked, but overall, I mean, new tanks, new learning experience. I need to learn how to play that super slow Churchill. I'm thinking it's one of those tanks where I could just move and fire the whole freaking time. If I could only put a V-stab on there, it'd be crazy good, but it's one of those things where I don't foresee it being a tank where I can respond anywhere. It's one of those where I think that if I'm heading in one direction, I'm committed and that's all I can do. But with this Crusader, it's quick enough that I'm able to get into places. It's more of a support tank. I can't really use it as like a Panzer IV or M4 would be used, where it's kind of just up in the lines and you just kind of headbang everybody all day long. This thing's really one of those tanks where you have to get to the side of a tank, otherwise you're not going to be able to do anything. Good luck, you're going to get killed. I mean, I was able to still bounce quite a few shells off of me, but I still think this is a very good support tank where its speed is really going to be beneficial. The fact that it has 0 armor, thus 0 survivability, is probably... So the mighty little Crusader kind of held its own there. Well, holding its own is a relative term. It survived and scraped by and pestered people from the sides when they weren't paying attention. That's pretty much the extent of it. Getting 3,000 experience on a triple by the looks of it, with a little bit of credits. Not too bad for a tier 5. Ended up spotting, what is that, 6 people in total? And damaging 6 other people, destroying all of 1. But still, I mean, what's sad is the performance I had in this thing qualified me for 2nd class. So that means that this tank really is difficult by the looks of it. If you're able to get a stock tank advanced to like either 2nd or 1st class on like your first game ever with it, that generally means that tank's going to be stupid difficult to play, because it's been that difficult for people to get up that high. If it takes you so many games to get to the 3rd class, that's when you know that tank's kind of easy, because a lot of people have played that tank and been able to get it up. But anyway, so that's the nothing too spectacular out there. I mean, I got sniper, but that's because this thing fires stupid fast and I was just bouncing off targets left and right. And yeah, somehow you tell me how I got Master Gunner and Sharpshooter without doing any damage, but I mean, that's technically how those two work. So, we take a look at the team score and we see that I was nowhere near the top on the damage charts, but hey, I was in the top 3 for experience. Sometimes it works out that you don't need to necessarily do damage to make yourself get up there in experience. Sometimes it's just spotting and spotting damage. So, I mean, hey, especially with the new mechanic of the tracking being included for damage, that helps too. So, nothing too spectacular that jumps out here at me, except that the SU-122-44 did a crazy amount of damage. But I mean, that thing is a pretty nasty tank at its tier. So, detailed report shows us that I shot 25 times and hit 25 times. And about half of those actually went through, 14 of them going through out of the 25, so it's a little more than half. But yeah, doing 600 damage is not too shabby. I luckily bounced 2 hits, because otherwise I would have been dead. Because 600 hit points or 600 points of damage is a lot more than what I can possibly sustain. But I ended up doing, I only did about 200 damage in spotting, so meh, not too big of a deal. So yeah, not a bad little double/triple at all, especially since I got a cool grand when multiplied became 3,000 even. So that was kind of cool. Alrighty, so let's jump into the next one. All these, of course, are previously recorded, and I'm just throwing the coverage of the after actions after the fact. So anyway, let's jump into the next video here. Alright, so on to the Churchill, which is the other British tank that I just had hidden in my gigantic garage, for lack of a better terms. But yeah, I mean, it's I don't know how these tanks keep going by the wayside for me, but somehow I just kind of misplace them, and they occasionally pop back up, and hey, you never know when that happens. But yeah, so the Churchill, like I was saying, is one of those tanks where I feel like once you point it in a certain direction, that's the only direction it's gonna head. If you try and do anything else, good luck, because there's no way I can return back to base once I've committed to a location, just because of how slow this thing is. Yeah, while I do only have the, what do you want to call it, the first level of engine in there, I don't imagine that the second engine does much more. It's kind of like a T95. Once you commit to a location, you're going that way, because you're only heading, what, 15 kilometers an hour average at best? So, it's kind of this thing. Well, of course it's heading a little bit faster than 15. It's heading, what, upwards of 20? No, not even upwards of 20, upwards of 18 maybe. This thing is, it's not fast. Fast is a term that cannot be used with the Churchill at all. I mean, the gun choices on it are very similar to those that are on the Crusader, and that's kind of the synergy of the British trees, is that they both feature the exact same cannons on the heavy chassis as well as the light or medium chassis. So it's going to be an interesting mix, as I gotta work my way up with somewhat mediocre guns, but still trying to compete against heavier and heavier tanks, whereas yeah, there's no easy way that a Churchill can easily compete against a KV-1S from what I can see, but there's still one gun above what I have equipped here that I don't actually have access to yet. So I need to slowly get around to leveling up and getting that gun unlocked, because as it looks, I do kind of have the stats listed here on the panel for this tank. It's what, 145 pin, 135 damage. So 145 pin actually is not bad for like a tier 6. Tier 7 I might struggle, but yeah, I mean at tier 6 it should be able to compete. So even if I'm up tiered up to a 6, I should be able to do quite fine. The gun that I have now in this thing though is the stock one, and of course I upgrade that once this battle got finished, but that's a different story. Man, I'd tell you what though, I'd love to have access to that gun that's on the front of this thing, even if it was just the flamethrower. Either one, I'd take either the flamethrower or the, what is that, 75mm howitzer. Man, if I could have the dual turret rules for this thing, that'd be awesome. But speaking of which, actually there's a report, not a report per se, but a known little interesting fact, as I'm sitting here bouncing off this T-35, there was an interview with one of the developers in Russia who was saying that the T-35 model, the 5-turreted crazy sauce Soviet land battleship, actually has been modeled, and the only reason they haven't implemented it yet is they are awaiting the multi-turret rule to be put into the game, which multi-turret mechanics rather, to be put in the game, and they're saying that that's supposed to come in down the road. No specific date, but the multi-turret abilities actually are in the game. They just have not been coded and tested yet. So there are the ability to control turrets, multiple turrets, and they are coming. So that's really cool to know that that's coming in. Really cool to know that I'm going to be able to control a T-35. Actually, maybe I'll put up a video later this week showing off my bolt action army. And that bolt action army does actually have my T-35 in it. So you guys can actually see what a model of a T-35 looks like. And it is absolutely massive, to say the least. But yeah, so that's one of the nice things that would be pretty sweet about this tank in particular, is if I could control both the fast firing gun and that gun on the chassis as well. But that was actually a much quicker battle than I thought it was going to be. So let's go ahead and hop into my final battle here, and we'll wrap it up with that. Oh boy, this slow lumbering beast is going to be one heck of a trial. And I mean, it's kind of funny. I got the exact same score, almost identical to the Crusader that I just played. Ended up getting second class, getting sharpshooter and master gunner, and getting sniper in this thing. Didn't get nearly as many spots, obviously. Didn't do or damage as many people. But I mean, I still was able to, and I also killed just one person, and I got almost 3,000 exactly again. So I mean, going back over it, that, like I said earlier, if you get a second class with a relatively stock tank, and you get it in like your first game or two, generally that means that not that many people have played it, and not that many people have found it to be very good. So that goes to show you that this tank's going to be super difficult to play. But I mean, there's got to be some tweak to it that I'll find that makes it work. I've been playing it a little since I recorded this, and I've found that I get torn up from the floor up with pretty much anything. But I mean, there's got to be some little ounce that I can use on this thing to make it work well. I'm thinking that it needs to really be used as almost a side-scraping tank, or really turn into shots so that it's hitting my gigantic track, and let that do a lot of the absorption. But we'll have to play around, figure it out, and take our time learning. This tank certainly isn't going anywhere fast. It's got a lot of grinding on it to go. So we'll go ahead and we'll bounce from here. Don't really see too much in here worth noting. Into the team score. And yeah, so I scored about middle of the pack, somewhere, well, top 4, not too shabby. The SCA, piloted by Gilly, cruising in there with over $1,000 in damage, and of course the Panzer IV-S and the Hellcat screaming in with 1,500 apiece. So I squeaked in there, not doing too shabby. I mean, both teams did relatively well. This tank, like I said, is going to be a learning experience to have to learn this thing. And yeah, I just don't really have much to comment about this one, so we'll move on to the detailed report. And yeah, you see that I shot 26 times, hitting 23. This time, not doing nearly as many penetrating hits as the Crusader, only doing 13 for 500 hit points of damage. That's not too much at all. There was just a lot of back and forth shooting with that T1 there, and that kind of goes to show you that the gun I had on this thing, in addition to the fact that it's just the armor at that tier is going to be relatively difficult for this thing to really deal with. I really got to figure out a way to make this thing work. It's probably going to be, I don't know, it's going to be a learning experience. I'm going to have to really figure out what works and what doesn't for it. And it's, I really don't have anything to go on to really know, because a lot of my teammates they played it but don't remember it because they kind of burned their way through it, or it just wasn't anything that's stuck in their mind. So, nothing really else in here to really talk about. We'll just go ahead and move on to the final battle here that's ahead of me, the AMX. Another battle here in my AC Mle 46. If I like this tank this much, I cannot wait to see what the AC Mle 48 is like. The power of this thing is just insane. It's stupid accurate. It actually does bounce fairly well, which is a surprise. Everybody complains how it doesn't, but knock on wood that mine is just bouncing fairly more often than not. But I mean, I'm still loving it. And its gun is really quick firing. It has, I don't even want to say it has decent camo. I just love the accuracy, the damage, and the pin on this thing. It is doing a lot of damage, upwards of 300, and as a tier 7. Not to mention, well, 300 is the average. And it has 232 pin. So that is insane. That's a very high penetrating gun, which, you know, is, it's essential. It's absolutely essential for taking on higher tier stuff. And just in general, I mean, if you're fighting anything that's higher than your tier 7, the 8s and 9s that this thing could potentially see, you're definitely going to need all the pin you can get. So the fact that I have all that pin is stupid useful, on top of the fact that it does high damage. So it can be competitive in the higher tiers. And I mean, even in these tiers like this one, it makes a great, like, line holder sniper tank. Like, as you can see here, the Tiger and the SU, they're not moving. Between Jake and his T20, Republic and his SU 122-44, and me and the AC Mle 46, no one's going to move out into this path at all. They'd be absolutely suicidal to do so. So, in the meantime, that allows me to hold this whole flank by myself while allowing other things to sweep around, other guys to defend other areas or push ahead. Just, this thing has so much power, especially when teamed up with one other person. It's just devastating. I think this thing has about an 8-second load time, but I've just been finding it to be a very good sniper tank. I mean, there's some TDs that are more aggressive, some that are more laid back and take your time with. This one is certainly one that you can sit back, enjoy, take your time. You don't have to get, push ahead. You wait for others to make their moves, make their mistakes, and then you just nail them with that nasty 300 hit damage and just crush them. So, I mean, stuff like this Tiger, yeah, it's kind of hard to see him through the car right there. He did have a good maneuver sitting back there, but the accuracy on this thing is fairly reliable. Yeah, I might have missed the shot, but no big deal, because I could just simply, I might have bounced off him, but I still was able to hit him, even through that little bit of turret that's available to shoot at. So, just the tank alone is absolutely fantastic. I mean, as you can see, the accuracy of this thing is still relatively good. And of course, the new patch helped that. Wait a minute, are we on 8.6? I need to download whatever the latest patch is. I think 8.6 is what we're on. 8.7 is what we're moving to. Yes, that's what it is. Because 8.8 is the second the second line for Soviet mediums. So I'm getting all screwed up. I might have said download 8.6 earlier, but you all know what I mean. I'm sure someone's going to correct me just to be silly and be like, oh, you mean 8.7? Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so it looks as though we're starting to lose our flank over here on the right-hand side, so I'm having to rotate over there right now, relying on my two buddies, Jake and Republic, to hold that line, which is easily doable. Take a snapshot at that Tiger, hit him. Now I have to worry about some other tanks that are over here, and of course, hopefully our line over on the other side to be able to clear out some of those other things over there. There is that land battleship over there that's going to be easy to hit if we were to poke out. Just giving me his turret's not too much useful. Maybe I should take a shot at him, but, I don't know, I'm kind of not still willing to take that risky shot, even though I know that sometimes it is still easy to hit in this game. I probably should have put a shot at that turret, but I didn't want to waste it, just in case he were to poke out or something else was going to poke out. Don't know why that I was doing that, but oh well. So he's poking out again. Reluctant, because I still have that Tiger there that's an easy shot. I'd rather take that thing on, which I do hit successfully. No problems at all. Now I can go back to the Tog 2 if he pokes back out again, but it looks like he might be a little on the safe side. We have completely lost the hill and this whole flank, so now that line is completely open for everybody to go. They have a VK down there, still have this Tog over here. I really don't have a shot. Come on, do I take it or do I not? Come on, I'm slacking. Nope. So I take it. I absolutely missed. Don't hit a thing. That's kind of why I was reluctant to take one earlier. But there is the Tiger P who's cruising in the open over here. It's kind of like an essential thing that I need to hit him. So, see if this Tog moves anywhere else. Otherwise, I'm going to probably have to go and fight this Tiger P right up in here. I know Republic's out there dueling them out. So, I'm going to have to help him a little bit, because this way both of us could take him down if I just spin to rotate to fight him, especially since I'm going to have a shot between the fountains here. Fire, and I miss early. He does track him successfully, though. I tell him to go ahead and hold off. I'll finish him off. You worry about the other stuff over there. So I finish him off this way. That helps to reduce the numbers. Still have a Tog in front of me. There's a Tiger down below to the south that I know for a fact the Crusader can't take on. Need to clear the cap, sadly. So I'm going to have to leave Republic to his own devices, whereas I'm going to have to go and help fight off the cap by myself here. And it looks like there might be a Wolverine, there might be a Tiger. There's the Tiger, going to quickly reset the cap real quick. So there's that. Alright, so now that the cap is reset, I can focus on taking down other targets. I need to take a gun off the battlefield. A Wolverine's still going to hurt no matter how you look at it, so taking him off the battlefield is essential. Now I got to go clear off the Tiger again. There's a Tog behind me that I really don't want to deal with if I can avoid it. Do another massive hit, and I just take a shot to the track, which is acceptable losses because it obviously didn't do any damage or track me. So one more hit on the Tiger. He's down to one hit left. I've lost Republic, so it's just me against the Horde here. If I can finish off this Tiger, I'll be good. So he did track me this time completely. Gonna go ahead and burn the repair kit just because I'm gonna need it. So destroy him, that way I don't have anybody coming up behind me, and now I can move around going where I need to. Gonna try and hunt down this Tog. He's another big target. I know by looking at this that I can see that he's the one with the most damage, or most hit points at basically 1200, with the Churchill and the SU-122 both about 1 to 1.5 shots for me. So there's the Tog. I'm gonna go ahead and try and duel it out with him real quick here. So good chunk of damage. There's the SU-122-44. I get lucky he completely whiffs that shot. It's almost essential that I finish him off. So ram him real quick for some damage. Shoot him. Now I got a Churchill up here that I want to have to toy with this Tog coming up behind me. I need to finish off the Churchill because he will penetrate. He'll shoot me very fast. So here's where I kind of screw things up. I honestly should have rammed him. I probably would have killed him probably way more. And then of course I shoot and I miss him. So that was something really bad that's going to end up biting me in the back, because now that Tog's able to shoot me from the rear. He's doing some heavy damage. That one shot did a lot of damage to me. 2 shots that he got off of me that he shouldn't have been able to, because I got stuck dancing with the stupid Churchill. So now this Tog's going through me left and right. I can do a lot of damage to him, but I don't know if it's going to be able to out-damage his gun, especially since he's able to shoot through my top hatches. No problems. I doubt I can even hide behind this thing. Maybe if I wiggled it would have helped, but sadly his rate of fire outguns mine, and he takes me down. So, did my best, did the best I can, but just couldn't hold on in the end, so there you have it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and probably review the footage on this, the recap, but if I don't, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and if I do, sit tight, and I'll get right to that. So thanks guys, and hopefully I get around, yeah, I'll probably cover it, not a big deal. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the recap. Oh man, such a difficult loss there. I mean, that was a good one. That really could have went either way if I just had placed that one shot better against the SU, or what was it? Not the SU. What was, I don't remember what the tank was. But yeah, if I just placed that one shot a little better, if I didn't mess up, oh, it was the Churchill. If I didn't screw that one up, or if I just rammed him instead, it would have been a whole different circumstance. Probably would have killed that Tog, would have won the game. It would have been spectacular, but sometimes the cards just aren't in the deck for you. And I mean, it's not like it's a huge loss. After that game, it's not like I was freaking out saying, oh, gosh darn it, blah, 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 blah. This game's broke or anything. No, I was just saying, wow, that was a really good game. I only wish that I could have finished off better, but oh well. I mean, I cannot be upset with the performance I had in that game at all. I mean, even when you look through everything, I don't think there's anything else that I really could have done differently, nor my teammates. I sadly, Republic kind of got left out to dry because I had to go secure the other side. Otherwise, it wouldn't have mattered what happened to him anyway. So it's just I missed the one crucial shot which I needed earlier. I didn't make a ramming move, which probably I should have after all. And yeah, so it just didn't work out too well. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the personal score, and we see that I ended up killing the 5 people earlier, damaging a heck of a lot more, so I damaged a total of 8 people, almost killing that Tog if I had only gotten him so close, just getting a Master Gunner though on that one, scoring 1324 in terms of experience, which is super high for a loss. So on a loss, I did insane. Imagine if I had won that one. That would have been a ton. Getting a lot of defense points too, I'm sure. So nothing really too standoutish there. We'll go ahead and move on to the team score. Topping the damage charts there with 4,000 damage. That's insane for this level of combat. For a tier 7 battle, 4,000 damage is huge. So I don't want to take away from anyone else, but I mean that was a rough battle. That was about as good as you're gonna get in terms of a little duel that we had there at the very end. That was pretty exhilarating and exciting to see. Yeah, so I mean, our team overall doesn't look like anyone really sloughed off. Everyone was doing just so good, especially in the enemy team too, but they just inched out just a little bit more. And I mean, that's when it comes down to 2 tanks and you're separated by about 100 hit points in the end there, it's no one held back. Everybody seemed to do well. So let's go ahead and take a look at the detailed report to see what happened there. 23 shots fired, 17 hits. If one of those hits was, if I had 18 or 19 hits, would have been a totally different game, but sadly, it was not. 16 of those 17s were actual penetratings for 4,000 damage, and I sustained 13 hits. Only, what is that? 8 of them were penetrating? Maybe less? Yeah. Oh, there we go. Penetrating. 6 were penetrating. No, 8 were penetrating. 5 were non-penetrating. Okay, that makes more sense. And I received about 2,000 damage. So sadly, I could not bounce that Tog when he fired at me those last couple times. He had my cupola. I'm just not one to wiggle as much as I should. But, yeah. Oh well, nothing I can do about it. It's still a damn good game by that guy. And, yeah, defending 48 points, or 42 points. So, did what I could there to help out, just sadly wasn't enough. Man, if I had only gotten the win on that one, I would have got like 15,000, or not 15,000, 1,500 experience or something crazy, and then tripled that one. Oh well. So there you have it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Nice to actually find tanks that I didn't know were in my garage. It's kind of cool when that happens. So I'll be playing those more and more and getting to learn those. And yeah. So I've already moved on to 8.7, so we get to experience that funness in my next video. And yeah, beyond that, don't really have much else to say other than it was great making another video for you guys. And I will see you in the next video.